Hello everyone and welcome back to Turkish series stars. I hope you're having a wonderful day, because today we're diving into a topic that has everyone whispering, scrolling, and secretly replaying every interview clip for clues. Buckle up, because we're unpacking the whispers around a love triangle that the Turkish entertainment world can't stop debating, and we're asking the question hanging in the air like a storm cloud over a red carpet. Could Yağmur Yüksel be the invisible spark behind a quiet tension between Barış Baktaş and Yaman? We're not here to throw stones, we're here to connect dots the way fans love to do, with hearts on our sleeves and eyes on the details. And before we jump into the deep end, if you haven't subscribed to Turkish series stars yet, tap that button and hit the bell so you're always first to hear the latest tea. We all know how this industry works. The screen gives us stories, and the spaces between scenes give us mysteries. When names like Barış Baktaş, Yağmur Yüksel, and Yaman float into the same rumor pool, everyone starts leaning in a little closer. These are not just familiar faces, they're magnetic presences, the kind of stars who can tilt a conversation with one smile, one glance, one carefully worded answer that may or may not be hiding the truth. And that's where the fascination lives, right? In the maybes, the what-ifs, the little breadcrumbs that fans collect and turn into the story behind the story. So, is there really something simmering between Barış and Can, and is Yağmur at the center of that heat? No one is holding press conferences, no one has written a tell-all, but the murmur has persisted with that stubborn rhythm only a great rumor has. There's been no official confirmation of any feud, and maybe that's why it's so tempting to analyze every gesture and every sentence. When two powerful male leads occupy similar spaces, comparisons get invited to the party whether anyone wants them or not. And when Yağmur's name slips into the conversation, the plot thickens the way only a story about love, pride, and timing can. Let's rewind. Barış Baktaş and Yağmur Yüksel didn't just share scenes, they shared sparks that felt too real to be contained by a script. Viewers weren't just watching a couple fall for each other on screen. They were rooting for something that looked like it might be echoing off camera. Their chemistry felt effortless, like they were letting us in on glances that said more than lines ever could. When their real-life connection turned into something fans could believe in, it became a romance people carried with them, streaming and re-watching, clipping and saving, building a fantasy that felt as close to reality as television ever gets. And then, one day, the temperature shifted. The posts got quieter, the sightings fewer, and the silence between them became the most talked about sound in the room. A separation is a private earthquake that everyone else experiences through aftershocks. For fans, it felt like a favorite theme song turning down in the middle of a chorus. People wondered if it was final, or just a pause. They waited for hints, for a smile, for a like, for a word that would say, "We're okay," or at least, "We're still talking." But silence, as we've all learned, is the most interpretable language in show business. Enter Yaman. A presence like his doesn't just walk into a story, it changes the gravity of the room. Whether it's a casual encounter on a set, a shared project possibility, or a rumor that grows a life of its own, whenever Can's name brushes up against Yağmur's, the fanbase goes into detective mode. A glance, a meeting, a call from a producer, an urban sighting at a late-night hangout. None of these are evidence, but when woven together by an audience that loves love, they can become a tapestry of inference. And in that tapestry, some see a triangle. Not a scandal shouted from rooftops, but a quiet geometry of emotion. Now imagine you're a die-hard fan of Barış and Yağmur, emotionally invested in every public moment they shared. You've built memories with them, even if those memories were crafted in the reflected glow of a series. If you then catch a whisper that Yağmur might be linked, even tentatively, to Can, how do you feel? A little protective, a little defensive, maybe even a little territorial. The heart doesn't always accept replacements, especially when the first song is still playing in the background. And what does that do? It creates a battlefield that no one declared, where loyalty becomes a team sport and where every interview becomes a scouting report. Here's where it gets even more complicated. The press loves a wave, and once the wind picks up, headlines become surfboards. Could there be real tension between Barış and Can? Maybe it's not shouting or slammed doors. Maybe it's the subtle distance of two men who understand that attention has turned their orbit into commentary. A comment not liked. A nod not returned. A quote trimmed just enough to hint at a meaning it might not fully hold. Every inch is measured. Every micro-reaction becomes a conversation. And through it all, Yağmur stands at the center without asking to be, simply because she is luminous enough that any story with her name in it feels bigger. Jealousy? Pride? Maybe not in the soap opera sense. Maybe it's more human than that. Maybe Barış is just guarding a history that mattered, and it's hard to see it reframed even as a rumor. Maybe Can, who knows his own magnetism and is no stranger to an intense public gaze, isn't chasing a narrative at all, but is caught in one by proximity and timing. Maybe Yağmur is doing what any smart, successful woman does in this industry, showing up, working hard, and refusing to let other people's theories write her script for her. But fandoms are storytellers too, and they are passionate. They build timelines, dissect interviews, parse captions, and zoom into photos like they're analyzing paintings in a gallery. A bracelet worn twice. A city visited unexpectedly. A music track shared that might mean nothing, or everything. In the age of social media, mysteries don't fade, they refresh. And when the fandoms of Barış and Can collide below posts about Yağmur, the comment section becomes a courtroom. Some argue for respect and patience. Others want answers that no one owes them. And the more intense the debate gets, the more it looks like a feud must be real, because surely all this sound has a fire at its center. Professional dynamics matter too. It's not just hearts at stake, it's roles, endorsements, global visibility. If Barış and Can are ever in the same lane for a project, if their names land on the same shortlist, the sense of rivalry becomes a story even without romance in the picture. Add Yağmur into that space, whether as a co-star or a rumored collaborator, and you suddenly have a triangle of career momentum, perception, and timing. It's easy to see how an ordinary, quiet distance between two actors could turn into the internet's favorite duel, especially when both command fierce loyalty and neither is inclined to feed a rumor for free. Then comes the press junket dance. You've seen it. A reporter asks about an ex. The actor smiles politely and says something gracious. They get asked about a rival, they talk about respect, about everyone doing their best. Is it sincere? Is it performative? Is it both? The truth is, diplomacy always sounds like a riddle when people want confessions. A gentle answer doesn't satisfy the hunger for narrative, it only fuels speculation. One smile becomes too smooth, one pause becomes too long, and before the interview is even over, the clip has been shared with captions declaring that the truth is clearly hidden between the commas. If you've followed Turkish series stars for a while, you know we don't chase tales for the sake of noise, we reflect the culture of the audience that cares. This is a story built on the romance we all watched unfold and the separation that left everyone wondering about next chapters. It's also a story about how powerful women like Yağmur become lightning rods in an industry that both worships and interrogates them. She didn't ask to be the cause of anyone's falling out, and maybe she isn't. But when you shine as bright as she does, every person who steps into your circle ends up standing under a spotlight too. And sometimes spotlights make shadows look bigger than they are. Now, could there have been a moment, a real, unfiltered moment, where Yağmur and Can felt a spark? Who can say? It's possible. People are people, after all. Could Barış still feel protective of a love that didn't end with fireworks, just with a quieter ache? Also possible. Maybe the rivalry isn't about winning someone back, but about not wanting to see a memory rewritten. Maybe it's not a war, maybe it's a polite, almost invisible resistance that only becomes readable when magnified by millions of eyes. Let's not forget work. Work binds and separates stars in equal measure. A new script lands, a director calls, a co-star is suggested. If Yağmur and Can are linked to a project, fans will read it as a message to Barış whether anyone meant it that way or not. If Barış signs something bold and unexpected, some will see it as a statement, some as a fresh start, and some as a door gently closing. Narratives don't live in press releases, they live in how we choose to interpret them. And where interpretation thrives, drama blooms. Still, there's a softer version of this story, and it might be the truest one. In that version, Yağmur is simply moving on with grace, Barış is guarding his peace, and Can is staying in his lane while the world assigns him plotlines he didn't audition for. The tension people sense is the echo of a love that mattered, not a declaration of battle. The rivalry people post about is not a blazing feud, but a careful choreography where everyone is trying not to step on anyone else's feet while the music changes. And yet, what a story it makes. That's the paradox of celebrity romance. We want the fairy tale, but we're hooked on the uncertainty. We root for the reunion, but we lean in when the camera catches two people who didn't plan to be in the same frame. Maybe that's why this question refuses to die. Could Yağmur Yüksel be the reason there's space between Barış Baktaş and Yaman? Or is she simply the brightest signpost along a road they were already walking for their own reasons? As always, the only people who know for sure are the ones at the heart of it. And they are choosing discretion, which is its own kind of message. Until they speak, fans will draw their constellations across the same set of stars, and the press will wait for a glance or a sentence that can be turned into a headline. Our job at Turkish Series Stars is to track the pulse of the conversation and remind you that beyond the noise are real people with histories we only glimpse in fragments. So what do you think? Is there a silent rivalry shaped by timing, pride, and the unavoidable afterglow of a very public romance? Did a rumor take root because it had just enough water to live? Or is this entire love triangle the product of a collective imagination that refuses to let go of a couple it still adores? Tell us how you read those interviews, those sightings, those careful smiles. Do you think Barış and Yağmur are destined to circle back to each other, or is the next chapter already being written with new co-stars and new adventures? And where does Can fit? Catalyst, coincidence, or a convenient villain in a story that never asked for one? Drop your thoughts below. We read everything, we feel with you, and we love how this community keeps the conversation smart, heartfelt, and alive. If you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Turkish Series Stars so you never miss a beat. Whatever happens next. Whether it's a glance that changes everything, a project that confirms the whispers, or a post that gently closes the book, we'll be right here to walk through it with you, step by step, heart by heart, frame by frame.